Welcome to the Non-Negotiable Living Podcast, where we're building lives by design by creating non-negotiable habits around fitness, family, faith, and financial freedom.
All right, everybody. I've been getting a lot of questions lately about the times you need to eat and fasting. And I know that the old saying goes that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, I want to talk a little bit about breakfast and why I really do believe it's important if you are on a fat loss or a muscle growth journey. Now, let's back up a little bit. So most women grew up believing that if they woke up and they weren't hungry, that it was okay to skip breakfast. And this idea really came into play because diet culture basically made women believe that, oh, great, if you're not hungry, you'll skip breakfast, you'll eat less throughout the day, you'll lose weight, right? Not necessarily. Then let's fast forward 10, 15 years. Intermittent fasting became really popular, and more women, especially active and fit women, began skipping breakfast in the name of health. I put quotes around that, health. But in all reality, when it comes down to breakfast, it's really important to balance cortisol. Eating breakfast helps balance your cortisol. So cortisol is your body's main stress hormone, and it's vital to your health. But chronically elevated cortisol can lead to a number of hormonal imbalances. So studies show that high cortisol can lead to low progesterone, decreased thyroid function, and adrenal dysfunction. And when you skip breakfast, your body sees it as being in a stressed state. And cortisol is released to help free up stored fuel in that depleted state. So what's happening is when you wake up in the morning, you're not hungry, you choose not to eat, you continue your fast from the time you were sleeping, it's stressing your body and releasing cortisol. Now, research shows that eating breakfast helps your body bring down your cortisol levels, which are highest early in the morning. And there's a strong link between skipping breakfast and elevated cortisol throughout the day, especially in women. And women who skip breakfast are more susceptible to high blood pressure and blood sugar dysregulation. So as you can see, when we get up in the morning, we skip breakfast, we're spiking our cortisol, and we're causing a lot of hormonal dysfunction when if we got up in the morning, we ate breakfast, we would naturally be bringing those cortisol levels down first thing in the morning and getting our body to a more balanced state. Now, research shows that women actually adapt and perform better in a fed state than a fasted state. So I also get that question all the time. Should I do fasted cardio? Should I work out fasted? And I always tend to tell people, as a general rule, that's personal preference. I personally hate working out first thing in the morning, and I hate working out fasted. I don't feel like I have good energy. I don't feel like my workouts are as productive. I just don't enjoy it altogether. But I do have a lot of clients who love working out in the morning, and that's effective for them, and that's great. However, I always recommend eating a little bit of carbs or something first thing in the morning just to get your body functioning properly before you go do your workout. So that's the caveat. There's nothing wrong with morning workouts. There is definitely science that backs the fact that you should eat something before you go work out. So I'm not a fan of fasted cardio. I'm not a fan of fasted workouts. I never recommend them to people. But if they prefer that, I don't discourage them unless we're seeing that their body is fighting us on their fat loss. That being said, skipping breakfast is also associated with irregular periods, increased menstrual cramping, and disruption in the release of reproductive hormones. So in the past, if I've had clients that say, my periods just put me out, I'm miserable, my hormones are crazy, I don't feel good, I have a lot of back pain, sometimes I'll ask, are you skipping breakfast? Because sometimes it can exacerbate those problems and those symptoms of your period. Additionally, most healthy people, studies have shown that skipping breakfast can lead to poor memory, increased fatigue, and brain fog. So these are kind of a big deal, guys. If people come to me and they're like, I'm just in a fog, I don't feel good, my memory's not very good, like I always ask, do you eat first thing in the morning? And a lot of times those symptoms come on early in the morning. So if you're the kind of person you wake up super groggy, you don't feel good, you're feeling super tired in the morning, try implementing breakfast into your day and see if that helps. Now, here's the one that gets everybody, drinking coffee in place of breakfast. So I know so many people that say, I don't wake up hungry, so I just have my coffee. Okay, well, drinking coffee instead of having breakfast in the morning can actually add fuel to this fire. So caffeine frees up stored cortisol at rest, which puts additional demand on your adrenals. And they're already working at a high rate in the morning because your cortisol is high when you wake up. So when you're already in a raised cortisol fasted state first thing in the morning, and then you drink coffee on an empty stomach, For one, the caffeine does you no justice. It releases more cortisol. It puts more stress on your body because now you're caffeinated and not fed in a fasted state. And also, the acidity in the coffee is just not really good for your gut. So it's like the trifecta of things you should not be doing first thing in the morning. So what I recommend to people, if they choose to have coffee first thing in the morning before they eat, which I'm one of those people, I get up in the morning at 5 o'clock every morning or 4 a.m., I drink my coffee first thing, and then I eat breakfast with my kids when they wake up or after they go to school, is I put collagen protein in my coffee. So at that point, I am putting protein in my coffee. I am substituting some nutrients in with just the black coffee, so it's cutting down on the acidity. It's giving me some nutrients and protein first thing in the morning, and it's also helping reduce that high cortisol state that you wake up in first thing in the morning. I also want to throw in there that everybody should be drinking water first thing in the morning before they drink any coffee or anything else. That should always be the first thing that you're doing. So let's go back to this. So if you spent years skipping breakfast, it can be very challenging to dig yourself out of the hormone imbalance and the adrenal dysfunction that you've created. So skipping breakfast can put you a step behind when you're doing everything else right on your health and fitness journey to try and lose body fat and build muscle. So please remember, breakfast prioritization in the morning is incredibly important. And if you're an active woman, you're dealing with the stresses of modern life, you're working, you have kids, you have a husband, a household, all these things, and you're skipping breakfast, you are physiologically stressing your body more by skipping breakfast. So you already have enough stresses in your days. The last thing that you need to do is add more to your plate. So you are less resilient and more prone to hormonal, adrenal, and blood sugar issues if you are skipping breakfast in the morning and waiting a few hours after you've woken up to feed yourself and fuel your body. So what we can do to shift this is by eating at least 30 grams of protein in the morning, you're setting yourself up for better satiety throughout the day, better maintenance as you work out and you're trying to build muscle, but then also you're lowering your cortisol, which is going to make it easier for you to lose body fat, and you're just starting your day off in a better place. There's also a couple other things that I want to touch on this, is people tell me all the time, but Ashley, I lost weight when I was intermittent fasting. And I'll ask them, did you lose weight because you were intermittent fasting, or did you lose weight simply because you were eating in a deficit because you were skipping breakfast? So here's the thing. Any diet works if you're eating in a calorie deficit. So the reason that most people are successful at intermittent fasting and losing weight is because they're skipping an entire meal in the day that should be a third of your calories. It should be between 500 and 700 calories, depending on how many calories you consume in a day. So if you're skipping that and you're only eating lunch and dinner and maybe a few snacks in between and staying in a drastic calorie deficit, of course you're going to lose weight. But that doesn't mean that the fasting was necessary for you to lose the weight. So keep in mind, when people come to me and say, Ashley, in order to lose weight, do I need to fast? I will say absolutely not. And in a lot of cases, I encourage women to not fast for a couple reasons. For one, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to hit your protein goal if you start first thing in the morning. A lot of women struggle with protein intake, and protein intake is key to building muscle mass to increase metabolism to help cut down on body fat. So if you're not fueling your body with enough protein throughout the day, and skipping breakfast is a big meal that you could be getting a lot of protein in, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You're making it harder on yourself. So if you struggle with eating enough protein and you're currently fasting and skipping breakfast, stop fasting. Start eating first thing in the morning. You're going to lower your cortisol. You're going to open up your eating window to get more protein in, and you're going to make achieving your goals a heck of a lot easier. The other thing is fasting doesn't typically serve women as they get into that perimenopausal and menopausal age range because your hormones are already imbalanced. You're already out of whack. You're going through these changes and things aren't balanced or level. And by adding in skipping breakfast and increasing your cortisol, you're causing further imbalance. So there's so many reasons I recommend eating breakfast. You're increasing your window to get your protein in. You're able to lower your cortisol first thing in the morning. You're helping balance your cortisol. You are minimizing your hormonal, adrenal, and blood sugar imbalance and issues that could be created by skipping breakfast. So please, everybody, do not think that skipping breakfast is going to serve your goals. If you're currently skipping breakfast, not getting to your goals, if you're struggling to hit your protein, you're not building enough muscle, you're dealing with bloat and belly fat, distended stomach, you feel like you're in a stressed state. If in the morning you wake up and your stomach's hurting, you don't feel good, try incorporating breakfast. See if that helps. And remember, you have to find a program that works for you. If you find that you're intermittent fasting and it's working great, then fine. But be aware that you could be creating these issues long term, even if you're not quite dealing with them yet. And just be cognizant of the fact that if intermittent fasting is serving you now, that doesn't mean it's going to serve you forever. And if you find that you're struggling to get to your goals, try changing it up. Try increasing your protein at breakfast. Try eating breakfast altogether. Stop drinking coffee on an empty stomach. And if you need some help, reach out to me. I help women balance their hormones, reduce their cortisol, and get a handle on their health and fitness goals so that they can achieve their body fat and muscle growth goals every day. That's what I do. So good luck on your health and fitness journey, you guys. You got this.